All right, my watch list for Tuesday. First, I'm just show you the SPY real quick. It's had a big move off these lows, and it's getting kind of into narrow ranges on a daily basis. At least today was narrow and basically closed a little bit above its open today. So it was really a dead day going to 5-minute candles. You can see it took out its early lows, then took out those highs, and then stayed in a very tight range the rest of the day and inside of Friday's range. So there were not, when I ran my scans tonight, there were not very many stocks at all that were standouts. And that's just because of the nature of the way the market traded today. Not a lot of big movers up or down. All right, so my list, United Airlines, UAL, I mean, from 40 to almost recent highs. Go to the weekly chart here. You can see, zoom out a little bit here. Okay, you can see it's up near pretty much all-time highs. Zoom back in on the daily. So it's come pretty quickly in a pretty short period of time to get there. So I'm going to be looking, if we get through 52 tomorrow, I'm actually going to be looking for an intraday reversal for a possible short up near this blue line, which is these recent highs around 52.5. So I'm going to keep my eyes open on that area and look for a possible short just for a day trade. Just keep in mind I'm a day trader, so I look at daily charts, try to find possible day trades for the next day. I like to be in cash every night. Krispy Kreme donuts, KKD. This is just in a range, and it is not too far from the top of that range. See here from 1650 to a little over 18. And if you look at it on an intraday basis, it just kept grinding higher all day. And 60-minute candle. So up near 18, this one is interesting also for a possible short. Okay, it's gotten there, in one day from almost the bottom of the range to the top of the range. So that's kind of my thinking on KKD. I don't love that setup, but it's worth showing. DRI was on my watch list last night. And it'd be on there again tonight. Looking for a possible short if we get up slightly over 52 for a trade. CERN, Cerner, kind of the same deal. It's almost straight up for a week into recent highs. So we get up near that blue line, which would be the February highs, which is over 63. I'm going to look for an intraday reversal short idea. And HFC, actually a potential long here. It's a refiner. Nice move off the lows, but it's really kind of been flagging ever since. Let's go to 30-minute candles. And it's not too hard to see there. So up over today's high in this area below 45, slightly below 45 will be a break of today's high, and it may push and start to break this kind of pennant formation. And that's HFC. And just to show you, TSO is another refiner, super strong. So that's kind of what made me look at some of these others, like HFC. And speaking of stocks in a range, I want to show you Macy's from today. One of our members posted Macy's as a possible setup that we look for. And today I kind of instituted a little bit of a new trading idea, a little different than I usually call. I usually call stocks that are moving in my direction. But after this was pointed out to me, Macy's, these are 5-minute candles, is in a very clearly defined range from a little over 59 to about 57.5 after this gap up back here last week. And it was straight down to the bottom of that range. So I literally called along, said I'm going to jump in this if it hits 57.60, all right, near these recent lows. And I just had a bid in, and that's what I told the chat room. And look at this. Went to 57, I'm not sure, 57.55, 57.53. Went 7 cents below my entry before reversing and ended up going up over 58.60 at one point. So, excuse me. So when you hear me talk about stocks in a defined range, and when they can get there, let me go back to like tens, when they get to the extremes of that range, especially if they've moved pretty far, one of my things I look for is I want it to be away from the moving averages. And when I say that, like the 8 or the 20 on 5-minute candle basis, look how far these things were away from it, away from those moving averages. That is much different than if it sold off to here, to 58, went sideways for a couple hours, then the push down is not as viable to me for an intraday reversal. But when you're just straight down like this, far away from the moving averages, nearing recent support, those are great reversal plays. So keep that in mind. And I'm to the point where I'm going to look for those every day and call that kind of special what I've deemed an intraday reversal trade setup. And I'm going to start. Made it my goal to start calling more of those in the chat room as well, because it's really my favorite setup, and they're pretty easy to trade once you know how. All right. Anyway, that's my list. Not a very long one. A lot of times Mondays are dead, and then we kind of get things moving on Tuesday. So hopefully we'll have a little more action Tuesday. Although we did have some nice trades today. All right. Have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.